Ani to everyone, and Bindigan, welcome here. My name is Monica Moore. I'm the minister here at St. Paul's, and thank you all for coming and joining together in this auspicious day. And my connection with this project was that when it began, I was here back in the gallery for one of the openings and an explanation of the work. At that point, I was a minister in Parry Sound up near Shawniga and Wissahickon territory, and we were able to bring the metal sketch etches of the work, and we were gifted with having it in our sanctuary for a couple of months, and it was such a blessing, and those are now out at Springwater Park, I believe. So I've just been here since March, and Mary Lou keeps telling me that I'm the new Ted. I don't know how Ted would feel about that, but I'll ask him. But it's such a great pleasure to welcome you all to this beautiful circle. I'm so glad that we're going to be able to do all of this artist's reveal in such a good way. And so I'm going to invite Irene Green, who is also from here at St. Paul's, and she's going to acknowledge the land that we are meeting on today.
Before I do the land acknowledgement, I'd like to let everyone know that the Eco-Justice Social Action Team here at St. Paul's is planning a trip to Christian Island on October the 4th. We will be gathering at their monument to respectfully acknowledge survivors and lost children of the residential schools. We wish to have an idea of numbers, so I have a sign-up sheet that I will take down to the feast today, and it'll be available after church next Sunday for anyone to sign up that would like to join us for that. Today we acknowledge the land and waterways of our geosphere, which has been for generations and continues to be nurtured and cared for by the Anishnawbek people. More specifically, we acknowledge those who dwelt on the land our church rests on, the home of Okamamaswaki, Chief Yellowhead, and his people. As we gather today, may we continue to learn the truth through our celebration, and may we continue to have our vulnerabilities, to share our vulnerabilities in respectful, cooperative ways that aid us all in our journey to reciprocity and reconciliation.
It up for some announcements. If anyone has an announcement, this is the part where St. Paul's usually tells each other what's happening in our community. So Leslie, you have one? Yes, if you could pass the mic around. And anyone else who has something going on, that we've got a great group of people here, so maybe you can let us know of what's going on in your community.
Great, okay, so on. Yeah, Anin Boujou, and I'm so excited to have everybody here today. I'm the leader of the new chair of the leadership team at St. Paul's, Orillia, and I'm so proud to be part of this church on a day like today. This is wonderful. This wasn't part of my announcement, but I just feel moved to say this, that I'm an artist, but I haven't participated in this project. But the great mythologist Joseph Campbell says that in our modern Western world, the artist performs the job of the shaman, which is that the artist travels into the spirit world and brings back the wisdom from the spirit world and translates it to the rest of us in the material world. And I'm proud to be an artist, and I'm really seeing evidence of that in this and in the gallery when I have been to some of your activities before. So thank you, McCoy, for being here. This is wonderful. Anyway, as the chair of the leadership team and on behalf of the search team, it's my duty to announce that we have a congregational meeting, and it's being called for Sunday, September 21st, immediately following the service. Because it is the role of the congregation to set clear expectations for an incoming minister, the purpose of the meeting will be for the congregation to consider the search team's position description for that incoming minister and our living faith story. Our work with Indigenous peoples is in the position description, just so you're aware of that. Once the congregation has approved these documents, we can begin the active search for our next called minister. Please join us in the sanctuary after church on September 21st for coffee and snacks, a brief presentation, and discussion and a vote to proceed. Thank you.
Dan? Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Dan, and I'm from St. Paul's. I've been here a couple of years, and what I've noticed is it's a hub for the community. All kinds of groups coming in and out of this building. So to add to that, this Friday we're launching free music classes downstairs out of Memorial Hall at 4 o'clock for 1 hour every Friday for the next 6 weeks until Friday, October 31st. So from 4 to 5, just show up. If you've never had any music or have no music skills or never had a lesson or always had issues, just show up, and we have a new way of just instantly playing along with your favorite songs. So come on out at 4 o'clock or bring anybody. That's free, and it's a service St. Paul's is providing to the community. So I'm Dan, and hope to see you there.
Thanks, Dan. One more, sorry.
On behalf of the Stewardship Committee and the Pub Committee, we invite you all to our September 19th Pub Night this coming Friday night. The band Alex will be there. Alex is a longtime favorite and a home band for us. They'll be playing lots of our favorite songs and probably a few more. Pub starts at 6, doors open at 6. Cover charge is $10, and come on in. We have food, we have tables and entertainment. We'd love to have you all with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary, and over to Mary Lou then.
I'd like to invite Elder Lorraine McRae. Dear Elder Lorraine McRae from Rama First Nation, she's going to speak to the waters for us. We actually have 2 pipes that are being offered right about this time out in Banff by Aaron Dixon and John Rice. They said that they would take a moment during their busy work out there and lift the pipe and ask the Creator to do the good work that needs to be done with us in a good way on behalf of our ancestors and all those who are to come. And so Lorraine's going to do a water. I'll give you that later. Lorraine's been with us since day one. She's just such a, anyway, presence.
Anin bojo kinwaya, ni gone an abed dow chickeny qua, she can do dam, chinandum kinawabmin gug, nongum, asionishing, ajoabak, ma. It's so wonderful to see you all today. My name is Lorraine McRae. Ni gone an abed means looking ahead woman. And I feel so honored to be invited. Mary Lou reached out to me to invite me to speak about the water today. And as I was reflecting upon how we might do this water ceremony today, I remembered this watercolor that was given to me so many years ago by a very dear friend. And it's me and my great-grandmother, Lily. And here we are, we're walking together with our water pails. We're in Torrance now at our summer camp. And we have to walk down this long, bumpy road and then off into the bush along a pathway. And there we are, looking all around, just having a nice walk. And then we see the spring where the water is. And then my grandmother speeds up and she falls to her knees in front of that spring and she laughs and cries and prays. And that's what I remember as a little small child and growing with her during the summers. And that was my very first water ceremony that I had ever seen. So I wanted to share that with you today, because our grandmothers, when we think about them, you know, they bring back these beautiful memories and these beautiful teachings. And I just love this watercolor. And I'm so grateful every day because we've received so many good things in our life. I'm aware that Mary Lou is holding the water, and I brought water as well. Sure. Yeah, it'd be great, thank you. So I brought this water vessel that my sister gave to me, and I filled it this morning before I left home, very lovingly, thinking about my grandmother and all our grandmothers who've been praying for that water since the beginning of time. And I see that Mary Lou has a big picture of water that you probably want to share with all of you if you like. This one here, I'm going to drink on behalf of all of us. And when I take a sip, the rest of it I'm going to take outside. As I was coming in, I saw all of the beautiful garden. I think they're tomatoes that you've planted. And I'm going to put the rest of the water into those tomato plants. So I'd like to pray for this water at this time, and this water. And all the water that flows throughout the world and inside of us, because, you know, we're at least 60% water. And I'll just say, Chimiigwach, Kajamni Do, Inagago Amish Yang, Awan Chishing, Opchigo Nik Chinandamin, Wawana Yamong, Jimnikweong, Yonabe. Dim Quen Ma, Gia, Dinokamesem, Liligajin Kazo, Chinandam, Da Shopchi, Panagi, Kinomawed, Wawana, Jiminop Modzion. Ginsa, Kinagago, de Kandan, Shamnido, Gin Gia, Kinagago, Gididabandon, Tigwajmin dashnogum, Tishawana meong, Wawana just jagayong. Minwag yoga shibigawad, Up chigo, Gnajwan ma kinagago, Shamni do. Migwach migo da shopche. Aha, chimigwach, migwach, migwach, migwach. Aha. Now, I'd like to offer a song. I'd like to offer a song, and I want to introduce my drum. This drum I made a few years ago, and a very dear friend of mine painted my clan, the turtle, on my drum, and Pam Roliak, she's here today. And I'm so grateful, to her, because she helps me in so many ways with my gardens at home, and people come into our lives that we're so grateful for. And I want to honor each and every one of you as well, as you sit and participate. Even as we're sitting, we are giving, because we're holding that space for this to happen today. It's so important that the artists are here and to share with us the healing that we all need in our lives, especially with the way the world is today in so many countries all around the world. And I want to offer this song, and I invite you to close your eyes and visualize the way the waters used to be, so pristine, because we used to be able just to drink right out of the lake, right out of the rivers. And we took such great care of Mother Earth. We were loving and respectful, just like my grandmother was that day. And we had a beautiful life because we all shared. We had close families. We shared together. Everyone had a role in their family and community, even the children. Everyone had a purpose and contributed to the health and well-being of everyone. And everyone was respectful to the waters and to all of creation. And that is the hope that all of our grandmothers hope for and pray for and have been praying for. So we'll think about that today. So I'd like you just to use your imagination, just like the artists did in their paintings, of the kind of family, communities, nations, and that you would like to see and visualize in such a good way, so we can put that out there to the world to make it happen. So as I sing, I'll invite you to imagine, and also imagine drinking the pristine waters. Sindarita binji o danan Wabam seta wawasayak nangokan Ambanim darita Gagazaganan ake Men of Matsita Binjing o danon wa bam seda wa sayak nango kan ba nim da di da gagazaganan akin min watsita mamwen ahamba nim dari da gagazag anan akin man of what is it da mamwen nim dari da gagazag anan akin man of what is it da mamwen sin da di da. So I'm going to drink this for us on behalf of all of us, and I'll take the rest outside to those beautiful gardens that you've made for the community.
I want to say thank you so much, miigwech, to beloved elder Lorraine McRae. And one of the things that we received as a teaching was the word miigwech in the language means you have given enough. Not too much, because if you poured your hot coffee over my cup, it would burn my hand. Not too little, which means you would control me and be stingy, but just the right amount. And Lorraine, we would like very much to say thank you. You've given us, as always, just the right amount. And Xavier, where are you? Would you please come over here? This is from the call to action.
Oh, nice.
This has been crafted by Xavier Fernandez from the trees of Orillia. And as an elder, I know that you go to fasts and they like you to bring your own fast kit. This one has a really nice edge, so when you get, the soups, it's not going to spill over. So he has handcrafted this for you, and each person who has received one, it's all different, and he left his little note on the bottom so that every time you feast, he's with you.
Oh, so beautiful. Beautiful. What's your name?
Fernandez.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And when you're not fasting with it, maybe when you look at it, you can remember that your brothers and sisters from away who are here presently, we're trying to learn what it means to be one bowl, one spoon.
Yes.
And you've taught us a lot already.
So nice.
So we're trying our best. And thanks for waiting so patiently for us to heal.
Yes. We're all doing it together.
Yeah, we are.
We are.
And as we get better, you'll get better, and as you get better, we'll get better. And so we have to eat in a really wonderful Xavier bowl. There you go.
All right. Thank you. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
very much.
You're welcome, Lorraine. We love you deeply.
Thank you for all you do.
And you, oh, cheapers. We're so privileged. Yep.
That's your band. All right.
And if you're really excited about his woodwork, his business card's on the front.
All right. Okay.
As if he wants more orders.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Lorraine.
Appreciate it.
What's next? Lighting of the candle. Irene, are you there? Have we lit the candles already? Monica? Just keep going. Okay. So, call to action artists. In 2015, the final report for the Truth and Reconciliation was released. Murray Sinclair came to Rama First Nation and in person delivered the final results. And I had the privilege of being there to listen to Murray Iban share his findings. And he presented us with a challenge of 4 questions and gave us a perfect lesson plan of 94 calls to action. The 4 questions were, every human being has the right to find the answers to, where do I come from? Who are my ancestors? What is my creation story? Number 2, where am I going after this life? Number 3, why am I here? Our First Nation brothers and sisters are very lucky because their community gives them their spirit name, and that's the job, their vocation, their calling in their community. Those of us from away really don't quite have that privilege. It wasn't our way. If it was, we lost it. And the final one, who am I? So as I left, I pondered those questions and I read the calls to action. As an educator who had just retired, I thought, you know what? I can do 94, and that is to call on the Canadian government to support in funding Indigenous and non-Indigenous artists coming together to create images to promote acts of reconciliation in Canada. So even though we did not get our grant, the artists all said, this is too important not to do, and I said, okay, that's fine, I'll figure out how to find the money. So the kind spirit's been very good to us. 10 years later, we have just completed the 4th seeking of images. In the old days, I was told that when a community was experiencing real difficulties and they didn't, as human beings, know what to do, they all went out onto the land, and on an agreed upon morning, they would all come back and they would share what it was that they sat up awake fasting, listening to, looking for, smelling, tasting, imagining, what animals came to you, what did the wind say to you, what was the sky like. And every person would come back and sit in a giant circle, and like a big circle, they would just 1%, like angle 1, angle 2, angle 3. Well, my perspective was all of this happened to me. Second person, they all told what they experienced because they understood that human beings were equal to all of creation, and if they couldn't figure it out, they had a lot of relatives. They weren't alone. So all of those relatives would come and whisper ideas to those people. And at the end of the entire village sharing, the elders would go away, consider all the pieces of the puzzle that didn't sound like they would fit together, and decide what their course of action would be. And then they would come back and share with the people that this is what our brothers and sisters have been telling us, and this is what we will do. And to this day, the First Nations are still here. So they got good relationships with their relatives. So we're trying to learn how to listen to all of creation. And so these folks, they went out and they agreed that they would go through ceremony as Murray Iban requested to elevate the concept of Judeo-Christian Islamic traditions equally to that of the First Nations of the regions in which we have settled, who have allowed us to settle on their land. And by doing that, it meant that we would go into a sweat lodge and we would ask the kind spirit and the ancestors to please help us, grant us an image that would inspire the hearts of all who see and participate in the image, to inspire them to personal acts of reconciliation and truth-finding. P.S. We need a budget. And the kind spirit has never let us down, and I think that anybody who's been in that gallery will tell you they don't walk away the same person. The kind spirit has definitely answered every request. So we have gone out and visioned for 10 years now for you. And today is the last round. And we call it a round because the circle has 4 quadrants. So today we're in the northern doorway. Eastern, the sun comes in, the idea. The south, who your relationships are. The west, what are your resources? And the north, I call it the Nike. Just do it and heal. So we're in the just do it phase. The next round, round 5, has already begun as people have come and interacted with images. They have created images. And we have about 100 images. That's you, the community, the eternal round 5. The artists have done their job for you. Please come, interact with the images, and the kind spirit will touch you, and you will learn truths of how our presence has affected others who were here before us. It will give us some imagination as to how to heal the relationship. And as Paul Schilling says, and first, heal yourself. Your ancestors are waiting for you to heal. They didn't have time. They were surviving. You're thriving. So when we heal, the world heals. So having that, we draw names by lot to see who goes first. And on this 4th round, our first artist is Albert Snake. Albert? Albert Snake? Oh, there he is. You'll always know who the artists are, and the supporters over the 10-year period, they have scarves on their necks. They've been gifted by another artist to say thank you for all their work. Albert, it's all yours. Please say your name, where you're from, and your ancestors, and the title of your work. Okay?
Hi, my name's Albert Snake. I'm from Rama First Nation. My clan is Bear Clan. Ani and Albert Snake Indigenous Cause. Rama Donjaba, Minwa and Dayan, McCoy Dode.
Yeah. Go ahead. We're going to walk it. Do you need it right by you?
No. The title of my painting is Spiritual Awakening. The materials I used to create this art piece are a piece of wood for the canvas. I used spray paint to complete the background and the moon, and then I used acrylic paint markers to paint my design. My painting represents our connections to the land as illustrated by everything happening on Turtle Island. And amongst great odds, we still fight for our rights to remain connected to the land and respect our kinship with Turtle Island. The coyotes represent the spirit animals as well as the reflection of two spirit people and their balance and important roles they have in our communities. The clan system is represented there with the footprints too. It is an important part of governance in terms of how we all have roles and responsibilities in protecting our land. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of this collective. Sorry I couldn't be more involved due to unfortunate circumstances. However, I'm honored and thrilled to be able to create an art piece for this final round. Thank you, Miigwech, for all that are here for the final unveiling. Same as last year, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Bama P. Gawabman. See you later. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I've just noticed that they were zooming in on the artwork as it's being shown, so we don't have to carry them around. Thank you very much, Mr. Technician. No, we don't. No, you're far better. I will drop it, I will trip. Okay, the next person. Who's the next? Who was after you? John Ulrich? Yep.
The piece that I made in response to Albert's is the one right next to it.
I know you hate mics, but you gotta get closer so we can hear you.
Okay, you know what? I'll just shout.
No, because he's recording it too.
Okay, all right.
I'll
I'll lean in.
there you go. That's it. Lean in.
All right. I actually wrote out some thoughts because I didn't trust my memory, and I knew that I would be so anxious when I got up here that I would need the anchor of some words. But I was struck by the notion that the role of the artist has some similarities to that of the shaman, and that it is to visit with other realities and bring them back to share with this reality. And I think that is a nice way of viewing my process in terms of making this piece of art, which was a response to Albert's work that is multidimensional. I think I'll lean in. I'll be okay. Yep, great. Thanks, Mary Lou. Salient was the beauty of the piece. It was breathtaking. When I first saw it, it took my breath away. Also important in being with Albert's work were the ideas and issues of truth and of relationship. So there were really three dimensions to my response. One was to the beauty of the piece, one was to the question of relationship, the issue of relationship, and the other one, this is why I have notes. The third is the question of truth. What is that? And each of them could be thought of as being polarities, continuums in terms of truth, continuums in terms of relationship and in terms of beauty. I decided to borrow the First Nations' use of visual symbolism as a way of materializing aspects of these ideas and expressing them. It's not how I normally work. I don't normally work with symbolic imagery, but that seemed to be appropriate here. Beauty was found in the reflection of light on water and in the reference to the land. I need to be closer to my piece to do this. A little bit perverse. Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks. There are three distances from which you can view art. One is a middle distance, which would be about this far from the canvas as I'm standing right now. The second would be the other side of the room. And the third is with your nose against the canvas, where you're really connecting with the details. So the work is about three things: relationship, truth, and beauty. And the beauty piece, I'm going to refer to my notes here, is found in the reflection of light on water and in reference to the land through the prone human figure that is emerging from this Georgian Bay rock. The honoring of truth was discovered in the universal monastic illuminated word. So we have a priest, a monk, looking at the illuminated word. That's one source of truth. But there's another source of truth, and that is what's deep inside of us. And that is represented by an Eastern Buddhist, an Eastern monk. The breadth of relationship was represented in terms of distance. The travelers in a transit lounge, transit hall, moving through space, traveling. But it also is represented in a flock of birds, Canada geese. That they are in relationship when they're in migration together. But the closest relationship is represented by lips, a kiss, the intimacy of a kiss. So relationship is an issue that can be explored at any of those distances. My thanks to Albert for pointing the way to these and endless other images. They spoke to the multidimensionality of shared cultural values, their inner and outer polarities, the intimate and the universal. What is true of the most intimate is also true of what is most general, and to the depths and the shallows. Thank you, Albert, for opening that up. So those are some of the thoughts that went through my head in the process of making that piece. What's really important is what you see in it and what you take away from it. So thank you.
Who did you pass off for, Mercedes?
Mercedes.
Mercedes Sandy. Now, if you want to go stand by it, grab the mic and just, do your thing. Do you want to hold this or do you want? Sure. Okay.
Anin, Miigwants Indigenous Cause Chimnasing Donjaba. Hello, my name is Mercedes Sandy, and my spirit name is Miigwants, which is translated to Little Feather. I am from Bosley First Nation, located on Georgian Bay. I'm also part of the Martin clan. A little bit about me. I've been in rounds, the first round, round 3, and then the final round. For this art piece, it's a reflection of me going through the process of truth and reconciliation and what that means, not only for my family, my community, but also for myself. So my piece is the big black thing back there. The joke of the art group is I always show up with these big, giant, fragile, brown pieces of artwork. And I think I always freak Mary Lou whenever I come to the art reveal because I always have something really big that's very difficult to try to display. So my art piece is called I Am My Own. So I'm going to read off my artist statement. I often feel as though I am drowning, caught between two worlds, never fully belonging to either. I am the outsider, I am an observer. I carry the blood of both. Yet it has never felt like enough. I have been made to believe that I am not whole, not worthy, by genes I cannot change. For too long, I have searched for myself in the eyes of others, only to meet distortion, only to inherit doubt. Beneath my skin lies wounds that cannot fade. I wake with them, I walk with them, I sleep beside them. But pain does not define me. My worth is not bound by others' expectations, nor by the shadows of who I was told that I should have been. This work is about holding all the pieces of myself, the grief, the beauty, and the contradictions. It is about facing the truth of who I am when there is nothing left to hide behind. Just me, exposed, uncertain, but still here. Some days the current pulls hard. It would be easier to sink beneath the weight of it all, but I don't. I fight to stay above water. I am not who I once was, quiet, naive, afraid. I have changed. And while the change is frightening, it is also necessary. The fragmented figure, which is my artwork in the back here, reflects the struggles, the memory, the trauma, history, resisting, and reshaping into a presence that cannot be denied. Some pieces fit, others remain jagged or unfinished, but together they form me. Truth and reconciliation is not only a collective responsibility, but it is deeply personal, for each carries histories, contradictions within ourselves. And reconciliation begins by looking inward and acknowledging our truths, our fractures, and our strength. This is my reckoning, my reflection, my release. I am no longer trying to belong to someone else's idea of who I should be. I am my own. So just a little background about my artwork itself. Within my whole life, I am mixed heritage. My father is non-Indigenous and my mother is Indigenous. And throughout my life, I have traveled feeling as though my white side of me did not accept me because I was too brown for them. And there's been points where I feel like I haven't felt part of my community because I wasn't brown enough for my community. And those are some of my truths that I have to be able to process and accept who I am. Those are things that I can't personally control, but I can learn to love myself, so then I can do this important work for truth and reconciliation. So I implore you to look inwards, reflect, reconcile your truths, your history, where you've come from. You're all beautiful, how you guys are made, so that we are able to do this really important work, because truth and reconciliation is very delicate and fragile and must be handled with care, just like all of my art pieces that I have provided to this process. So thank you for being here today. Miigwech. And then let's start it.
My name is Xavier Fernandez. I was born in Karachi, Pakistan. Came here when I was 11 months old, and I've been here all my life. And now we're going from a large piece to a very small piece. I chose to make a spinning top. Is our community rich in culture? Are we limited in our view of culture? Do we immerse ourselves in other cultures, or are we accepting of other cultures to exist around us? So the top I made, I chose to make my spinning top from maple wood. These are old trees used in many cultures that grow from our shared land. This is why I chose to make my top from a maple tree. So a top standing still does nothing. Movement does something. creates interest. Movement creates balance, and it spins. The colors, cultures, are present, noticeable, and seen together. When the top is moving, there is balance. What does that mean? Different cultures moving with balance, being seen and part of the whole greater community. There are two sides to the top. One side is seen most often, the other side not seen as much. The bottom shows all the colors that are visible in the rainbow, but as it spins, it all melts together and loses the unique colors, blends into one color. So it spins like that. This here shows They say Canada is a cultural mosaic with many different cultures. Other than today, how many of us have been to a cultural event that is not about white culture? I was at a movie with my partner a while back. The movie was about a Pakistani woman and her relationship with her mother and her daughter. The theater was full of older white men and women. And at the end of the movie, people were able to provide input. Most people did not enjoy the movie, or maybe didn't understand the culture. My partner and I were laughing at the funny parts, but the rest of the audience did not. I did feel like we were alone in a crowd where we understood what we were looking at. We were understanding a different culture, and we were immersed in that culture and understood it, whereas the others were just watching it. We live in a city where culture is seen many different ways. Each culture has a lot to offer to the community as a whole. For some, our idea of culture is limited, yet we feel like we are rich in culture. We have been doing so much to be inclusive of other people in our culture. We now need to learn to be more inclusive by learning about and immersing ourselves in other cultures around us. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Woo, nerve-wracking. It's an honor to be here with my fellow artists, a few of which are actually friends and relatives of mine, so, it's pretty cool to be a part of something bigger and, kind of help educate surrounding communities and introduce them to our beautiful artwork. I had collaborated with Xavier, and we discussed, just the way, local cultures are like the mainstream culture and how they all mingle together. I'm just gonna read my statement here so I don't forget anything. So my piece is called Coming to Light, and it's that little white box there, but it's not just a little white box. So coming to light explores the visibility of Indigenous voices within a dominant cultural narrative. Inspired by the medicine wheel and its teachings of balance and interconnection, this piece juxtaposes a frosted white plexiglass box, symbolizing the prominence of settler culture on Turtle Island, with an underlying abstract blend of red, yellow, and black, evoking the wheel's cyclical movement and layered meanings. A concealed light illuminates these layers, symbolizing emerging truths and potential. The switch invites viewers to engage with a call to action, acknowledging that change only comes through intentional effort. And this work reflects on visibility, action, and the shifting cultural landscape in Canada. So I will demonstrate my piece to you. So on the inside of the box, with the help of my husband, we carefully placed different shapes and sizes of tissue paper to not really create, a specific shape. It's kind of up to your interpretation, but it's just, I was inspired by the movement of Xavier's piece and like how they all meld together, just like the cultures here in Canada. Each side of it is a different, it looks different. Yeah, and the switch is part of it. It's the call to action. So, yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. This is a wonderful crowd. My name is Jeanette Lucchese. I'm a first-generation Italian, Canadian, living here. I gotta move closer. Hold on, I'm getting directions here. Okay, it's good? Do you want me to take it out? Okay. Yeah, so where was I? So first-generation Italian, Canadian, and I think I'm one of the few that have been through every round, and it's been an amazing experience. I've grown and I've learned with each encounter, and the people I've met have taught me so much. For me, this call and response is not the easiest thing to do, because of the fact that I work spontaneously. So, it's like, how do I move forward from where I was? And I virtually, have to do it step at a time. So I hope you don't mind that I read my statement. It just makes it easier for me, because I seem to be forgetting things. So anyway, so round 4, it begins. I met with Hillary, and it was early days of Hillary's work, and who proposed using a light box and switch so that people could learn to turn on the light as a symbol of inspiration. I'm having trouble reading because of the light. So my takeaway on that was to be inspired through an action. So I had to kind of disconnect from it all, and I decided to dive deeply into the Call to 83 medicine bundle that I was gifted from Mary Lou, and found a wonderful gift from Senator Yvonne Boyer, who made ceremonial tobacco ties, and then gave them to Senator Boniface, which I am so happy that I'm getting to meet today here, and she delivered them to Mary Lou for the artists. And as a bonus, Mary Lou Meiers supplied us with another tie. I found out later that she touched each tie to the remains of Miracle, the white buffalo. I was so moved by the gift and wanted to use the sema in a special way. I am fortunate to live surrounded by trees and elected to thank the Creator by placing the tobacco at the base of key trees around my house. Finishing the circle, the final tree was surrounded by dogwood. The red branches coming up from the snow were a wonderful, contrasting, deep, rusty red, and I knew I had to use them. I gathered the branches, picking them randomly, not knowing how many or what I would be doing with them. As I laid them down on the table, moving them around, the phrase "beyond the frame" came to mind, which inspired the result that you see before you. A simple act of faith, giving back to the earth, thanking the Creator, led me to the dogwood. Arranging the branches allowed me to dive deeper. I thought of the path through the trees, getting lost in the forest, the dogwood representing life. I thought so much of our history is still all around us, holding us back, making it difficult to go forward past the structures and the obstacles in place. We need to find new paths forward beyond the life that has been framed for us. This piece is about breaking free. Like the flowering dogwood, which is associated with rebirth and resurrection, its tiered structure and unique branches symbolize the stages of life and the interconnectedness of different levels of existence. Durability and reliability, strength and resistance. It is a piece about trusting the Creator, about being connected, and about the courage to forge new paths forward beyond the frame. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any way to move the painting closer? Anyone? Mary Lou? Allison? Yeah, I just want it a little more immersive. I'll start. Normally I like a podium. Anytime I get a mic in my hand, anyone born in the 70s or 80s, we want to rap. So I will contain myself from rapping. To start off, I'm Guy Brandon Kopagog from Chimna Singh. I am from the Martin clan, and I recently learned why we do that. So if anybody doesn't know for Indigenous cultures why we introduce ourselves, it's for like positionality. So you know who I am, where I'm from, who my community is, and what my clan is. So it gives you a lot of information. So that is why we choose or elect to do that. This is my piece of art. So I followed behind Jeanette. Of course, she had the beautiful image. I will go through, is there any way to fix this? I don't want to rap. So for me, I just wanted the painting here so we go through visualization together. Just to help you with the process. So I don't know if you know how this process goes. So the artists are selected, we get a number of who we follow, and we get a time and a date of when to create this piece of art. So how it goes is the artist before you shows you their image and inspires you and motivates you and gives you an idea of what you should create or what you could create. So fortunately I had Jeanette, who was before me, and so if you look at her image, And for me, the process goes, so I look at the image and I try to get some kind of inspiration for it. And for her, when I looked at her image, I saw Mother Earth and I saw children, like children either wearing the Every Child Matters shirts or children in red, children in orange, and it looks to me like they are floating up through the sky. So I want everyone to close their eyes. So for me, I had this idea in my head, and I'm like, okay, I have these children floating up in the sky, I have Mother Earth, so initially I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do some mountains. The mountains are gonna look like a female. The female is gonna be embracing 2 children. Those 2 children are going to represent Every Child Matters and missing and murdered Indigenous women. And those colors are going to like float up into the sky because now we're aware of what happened. And as they float up to the sky, their spirit's gonna go travel on to the spirit world. So I spent hours creating this image. And finally I got it to where I wanted it to be. Mary Lou fortunately fell behind me, and this is now 2 rounds in a row that she came after me. So I sent her this image. I'm like, Mary Lou, this is my inspiration, this is what I plan on doing. And then I sat with it a couple of days, and then I hated it. The more I looked at it, didn't like it. So I took out the white paint, washed it all, cleared the canvas, completely white. And then I sent Mary Lou a message and said, Mary Lou, starting over again. So then I'm like, so now I had another idea. I wanted to keep the same image. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep the mountains, I'm gonna do this female figure, but I'm gonna change the sky a little bit. I'm gonna do like the northern lights, still have the same kind of image, like millions of children getting uplifted and all these colors moving from the ground to the spirit world. So I did that. And I created a very nice image, sent it off to Mary Lou again, sat with it a couple of days, hated it. Took out the white paint, whitewashed it again. So now Mary Lou at this point is getting really frustrated with me because I'm supposed to inspire her and I keep changing this image over and over and over again. But this is my process as an artist. And sometimes I find you can't force an image. Like for artists, and you can understand why artists cut their ears off and go crazy, because this is me going crazy and spiraling out of control. So finally, I'm like, okay, Brandon, you need to settle it down, and you need to figure out, just let the creator guide you in what to do. So halfway through whitewashing it, I kind of got this image of a smoke. So then I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do the 7 grandfather teachings. So if anyone doesn't know what these 7 grandfather teachings are, they're the Anishnawbek principles, which are, and of course I'm not going to get this, love, respect, bravery, honesty, humility, truth, and wisdom. So those are the 7 grandfathers, and they're the foundations for how the Anishinaabe or Ojibwe culture lives and lives within creation. So I'm like, okay, well, this is truth and reconciliation. I'm going to do this image. So finally, as I got down to it and started painting, and for those of you that don't know, I am a trained artist. I did go to art school, so I have a hard time creating an image because there's always that criticism in your mind that you're not doing it right, and you have to follow certain rules when it comes to art. So it's really hard to be just allow yourself to paint something. So for those that are trained in art, you can see there's a lot of things that I followed and a lot of things I didn't. So initially, the image was a lot more precise. The figure was more intentional. And then I'm like, okay, again, we're going back, we're overthinking. So I whitewashed the figure. So at this point, Mary Lou and I are having this conversation back and forth, and now she's sending me texts. Don't get rid of this, don't get rid of that. Please tell me you didn't get rid of that. And of course, left and right, I keep changing it over and over and over again. So finally, this came to light. And I settled on doing it in Indigenous style. And what makes it an Indigenous style is the form is simplified. And simple doesn't mean easy. Actually, simplifying an image makes it 10 times harder. You'll notice the color is done in a very indigenous style. They're complementary colors. If you had a color wheel or know what a color wheel is, complementary, or they're across from each other and they complement. One will bring it forward, one will bring it back. So there's a lot of rules that go within it. This was done with acrylic on canvas, and if I had, like I really wanted to do it about 4 times that size, but I had to like tell myself, you need to calm it down. You can't do that to Mary Lou. It would have been months. You'll also notice there's a shine to it. I did put a veneer on it, and the veneer is to protect paintings, so if anybody touches it or it gets scratched, or to stop me from repainting it. So at some point, I had to put it on and say, you need to walk away from this. Yeah, so that's it. That is my image. Really? Ah, there you are.
Oh my gosh, what an adventure.
That was an
It was an adventure. I never really got frustrated though, because I knew you were going to make it. But you know, as I listen to you tell your story, I think, well, isn't that just the whole journey of truth and reconciliation? You know, you think you got it, and you come back 2 days later and you go, yuck, that didn't work. But we have the courage and the insight and the creativity to do it again. And he did it 6 times, and I would just laugh louder every time. But I think it was also interesting that I asked him, don't get rid of the mountains and don't get rid of the fire. So even through our journeys of truth and reconciliation, we keep reinventing it but there are certain things that are always there, like the mountains and like the fire of life. So thanks for helping us laugh our way through truth and reconciliation process, because it's a frustrating process at sometimes. So he made me go real minimalist. And mine is called Honoring the Ancestors. And way up on top, that woman who's birthing that child, her expression on her face, you can't really see it real well, but it's reflected in the face of the little infant that's crowning. And she also has 1 bead of blood on one breast and 3 beads of mitochondria down here. I had just learned that when a woman is pregnant, she carries 3 generations of mitochondria. Yeah, did you know that? We carry 3 for 9 months. We are that old. We have our mother's mitochondria, we have our mitochondria, and the child within us has theirs. That mitochondria is the ever-ready battery of life, of energy, of every living cell on this beautiful earth. And it comes from the sun. When a woman becomes pregnant and the sperm penetrates the egg, the sperm has its own mitochondria, but this is the really unique thing about human beings. The male mitochondria defers to the female mitochondria to be the carrier of life. Now that is really powerful, you guys. You are humble enough to defer. And I mean that in a really kind way. And out of that comes a whole new creation of life that both male and female opposites contribute to. So anyway, that was a really big learning that I was having. And then I was trying to answer the questions that Murray Eban was challenging us with, and remembering all your ancestors on one of the many iterations that he had done. So I went back 7 generations, and I painted in 1864, the first one had to leave Germany. And where they left, that one string that I followed, they were at the base of the mountains in the Black Forest. And that's why I asked you, don't get rid of those mountains, because there's something about mountains that just really touched me deeply. When I lived out in Montana, they just really, once you get bitten by the mountains, you're bitten forever. And I thought, you know what? That's one of my ancestors in 1864 who had to look back and wave goodbye to those mountains, and what a terrible feeling that was. And I remember how terrible it was when I left those mountains. I thought, isn't that interesting? I was born in Wisconsin, and we didn't have mountains. And I always knew I had to go to the mountains. So that was kind of an ancestral, intergenerational trauma that I was able to connect with and then really appreciate why I had that feeling. Now, when that person left, they became stressed, but they birthed on their way the next generation and the next generation, until finally the last woman is here on Turtle Island, and she's birthing me, and she has a smile on her face because she knows she's safe. And one of the things I've learned through this whole process is the word Canada means land where there is heart all over. The tissue of this Turtle Island is the heart tissue of the planet. It's different from the long muscles and the arms and the legs. It's the heart tissue. And I don't think it's a coincidence that people from around the world who are not safe come to Canada. Because Turtle Island is, we were received in a safe way. We've got all that intergenerational trauma from our ancestors, but we also are here because of their strength and their hope. So as we cross the waters and through the generations then, and I don't have the long understanding of my ancestors like our brothers and sisters who introduced themselves by their clans, and somebody told me if you go out west, they'll talk for half an hour to let you know where they come from. I only know my grandmother and a teeny weeny bit of maybe her family before her. I don't think that's an uncommon North American experience. And so those 4 questions that I grapple with from Murray Eban, they're really big questions for me. Because I know that I was the hope of somebody in 1864. And so I'm doing the work that they were unable to do in a good way. And I hear my ancestors saying, you know, I'm really sorry that we displaced people. We know what that was like. It happened to us. I'm really sorry that someone was pushed aside. I'm really sorry. I'm just trying to survive. It's just like throwing the ball of life to the next generation until here I am. And I hear my ancestors saying, please let us rest in peace. Let us stop saying we're sorry. It's your job. Please forgive us. Please fix it. Because we gave you all that you need. And your brothers and sisters on Turtle Island received you and gave you everything that Turtle Island has to offer so you can thrive. And then we got off track. We were so hurt. And it's our generation now who is safe. And people still come to Canada because they know they're safe. The land with the heart all over. Most recently, probably Ukrainian people. So Canada is a unique place in this world. And we have brought with us endless ancestors, strengths, abilities, know-how. We can solve any problem. So that's what my minimalist piece is. Honoring our ancestors. We are their future. We are their hope. They are us. We were with them in 1864. They didn't know it, but their DNA was, their blood was, their mitochondria was. And I only pray that when I cross over and I meet with them, they'll say, thanks. I didn't have to keep saying I'm sorry because of how you changed things. So may the next generation be able to forgive me for anything that I may have done that hurt, just as I am my ancestors and myself. it is that hope. It's an important time in history, and we have that choice individually to make every day. We also have this choice as a nation who is allowed to settle on the homelands of all of the First Nations people here on Turtle Island. We are the guests. So thank you very much, and let's celebrate our ancestors. I passed mine on to Marilyn George. Marilyn and I have been like frick and frack through this process. Everywhere her painting goes, I wind up next to her, and Guy's the other one. So Marilyn, when I passed off my image to her, my little minimalist generation thing, I asked her if we could possibly, when we display this work in the gallery, would it be possible for us to take either a piece of one of Catherine's fabrics or some leather and attach it between our two works. It will be the first and only works that are connected. And we've just kind of become good friends. Yeah, we're, that's one of the real pleasures of this process. And it is the hope that relationships build and grow and we can really celebrate each other. So when this is hung, there will be a connection between our two works because of the act of going together forward in a good way, which is what the language means. Ojibwe, that's how it's translated into English. And we had a chance to walk this path together. And there you go, sister. Yaha, kanagana.
Wawena Bosho, Natwi Kakatusaki, Nindishnakas, Ganabajing Don Jaba, Midland and Da, Makwanin Don Dem, Ojibwe and Anishnawbek. My name is Marilyn George, and I'm from the Serpent River First Nation, but I reside in Midland, and my clan is the Bear Clan. And I was involved since the beginning, and I just want to talk about, because my painting is about resilience, so I guess I could call it resilience. And this painting is sort of about truth and reconciliation, because my family and me, we lived through the truth, and we all knew it was the truth, and we had to work on the reconciliation. I moved off the reserve when I was 17. 17 after I graduated high school. I went to Sioux College, and one of my courses, I was very shy, never been off the reserve before, never lived off the reserve or anything like that. So when going into the Sioux College, my father always told me to find somebody that you can relate to, which is First Nation. So I met this girl and her brother, and they were from way up north, I can't think, Kenora. They were from Kenora. They never been off the reserve either. So that's who I connected with, because my father always told us, when you go off reserve, go find your people. So every time I go somewhere, I would always find the First Nation, the Friendship Center or whatever that was in that community and get to know them. So then at least I could feel that little comfort of home and not miss my family so much. So anyways, I went to Sioux College, and we had to, one of my projects that I had to do in English was talk 45 minutes about something that you know very well without any, just talking like the way I am talking now, no scripts or nothing. We had to talk. So I was really nervous about that because I'm not a very good public speaker, especially back then. So I thought, well, I'm going to talk about us, our people. And these were all, well, I guess I was young too, I was 17. So I started talking about our people. And I talked about our art. I talked about our family and how we were connected to the earth. My father was a fisherman, hunter, trapper. So he was really connected to the earth. He would go to work every day for his little menial pay. And then at night he would either go fishing, hunting, or trapping. He was a trapper. And he would get the furs and we would eat the meat. And he would sell the furs to one of them was the Hudson Bay Company for a menial amount of money. So he had to work really hard. He worked hard from morning until night, sometimes really late, because once you catch the animals, you have to clean them and skin them and prepare them and prepare the hides to get shipped out for. And he would do that every fall until Christmas time. And so we would have a little bit of Christmas money. We lived off the food, the meat, the fish, and a lot of the animals that my father caught. And plus we would give them away. But I talked about all these things. I talked about our medicines, and I talked over an hour. And I couldn't believe that I talked that long, and I couldn't believe, and I was so scared, so I would pray, to help me get through this, because I didn't know what to say, and I just kept talking, and it was amazing what came out of my little head and out of my mouth. And it was really amazing that nobody booed me. No, just kidding. No, I had their complete attention. And when I was finished, well, I had to finish because the class was over. And so the teacher was so impressed because he's never heard nothing, especially from a First Nation young woman. And he just was so happy. And he gave me a really good mark for that too, so I was happy. So I knew a lot of things back then, and I didn't realize how much I knew, but I knew all the struggles that we had as a family, and I knew what to do. I knew how to pray, and I knew how to do all those things that my parents taught us. And when I started, I moved to Kitchener, got married, and all that stuff, and our struggles came into the light, like, about the residential schools and the abuse that went on. And a friend of mine who was abused, she came to us, my sisters, and so we sat around the table and we talked about like what to do. And I was in my 20s. And so I remember watching, well, maybe it must have been later, it must have been in my 30s maybe. Remember the one that Kevin Costner, if you build it, they will come? Well, that movie, we were talking about how to get people together and have like a how do you call that? Gathering First Nations people and So, and then that thought came to me. I said, if you build it, they will come. And so we just put it out there. We put the word out there. We got a place on Birch Island, Dreamer's Rock. We had the lodge and all the food and everything. It didn't cost us nothing. It was all just by word of mouth. People, elders from all over the place came. We had a sacred fire. We had fire keepers. And it was like a 3-day weekend, like a weekend gathering. And people from all over, we met, elders from all over, and they talked about the residential schools and everything like that. So that was a good thing, and that was so many years ago. So that was the sort of like a try to talk the truth so people can hear what we're about and why we are the way we are. When we come from reserves, and we wanted to get it out there. And that was my first getting out there. I wanted to dance in the powwow. The drum has always been in my heart. The heartbeat has always been there in my connection. So I always, I made my regalia through dreams. My mom seen me flying like an eagle. I used to always have dreams about flying. And so the eagle and the bear have been very important in my life. And I had a really connection with them. I had a dream one night, and I always follow my dreams. And this dream, there was 3 grandmothers. It was dark outside, and there was a fire. And back, I had just left an abusive relationship. And, he would always put me down because of my blood, or who I am. And I didn't feel enough, like I wasn't enough. But these grandmothers, all I saw was them. And I was there, and all I saw was their hands pointing at the fire, and they were talking to me, and they told me, "You are enough." And they told me to get all that negativity out of my system and turn it into positive. And then I started getting sick and throwing out all this black stuff into the fire. And they said, "Put that in the fire, and then you'll be okay." And I woke up, and it was like I was really heaving and stuff. It was like a really powerful dream. And that's when I started to dance at the powwows. I started as a fancy dancer, and that day my dance came to light. And after that, I found my drum, and I started to sing, and I had that connection with my drum. And I've been singing ever since in my 20s. And so the bear is my medicine. And the bear is in the center because I used to dream about bears a lot too, and that connection was there. And in my dreams, they would come to me, and I could feel them breathing on me and like looking at me so close, but they would never harm me, and then they would walk away. So the bear and the eagle is why I put them in my thing. I put the red circle there because of, we're closing up our circle. We did our 4 rounds to represent everyone on this Mother Earth. And on the top of it, I had, it's supposed to be Northern Lights, but it didn't turn out the way I saw it done. It looked so easy, but Anyways, but I tried. So that represents the Northern Lights and the north of our communities. And we start in the north, in the south, and the east, and the west. And I thought of I can't remember why but that's my vision, was the Northern Lights coming off the eagle. And I've heard it mentioned through a few of the art pieces because of its beauty, and it represents our resilience to everything that's happened. And we're strong, and the Northern Lights come up from the Mother Earth. So that's the power of our Earth Mother. She takes care of us, and she's always there. And the Northern Lights are the signal of her beauty and what she can be. And so that's why I put in the Northern Lights. And I do have, when Mary Lou talked about that woven piece of cloth that we want to put between, that's why I put the colors that's the colors in the cloth, and it gave me that idea about the Northern Lights. And we're going to connect them, but I forgot the cloth. So I just want to say miigwech, and this has been a beautiful opening spiritually experience for me. Miigwech.
Hi everybody, I'm not officially on the program. The two important things you need to know about me is my name is Allison, and the second thing is I'm a retired elementary principal. So what that means is I'm used to being bossy plus genetically settler, so bossy time, etc., all of that. So I'm just going to let the rest of the artists know that we really want to hear everything that you have to say about yours. Your pieces upcoming, and we really want everyone here to see it. So I'm going to ask if everybody can try and keep it a little bit brief so that we can get down for lunch and have time to discuss with everyone after, okay? Chimigwech.
I'm Jenny Clark. And Jenny Clark has moved. Jenny Clark is now living in beautiful Lunenburg. And during this process of the 10 years of the call to action, she lost, her father died, her mother died. She was the executor of the estate, and if anybody who put their hand up for that job knows, don't do it again in the future because it takes years and it's very painful. So she actually took the time and did want to complete the fourth round with us. And so this is the image that she granted us. It has an owl in the middle of the great full moon, and the forest and the trees. And it looks like half a snowflake with tears dropping and sun rays on the other half. The owl is sitting on top of an eagle feather. And here's what her statement is. February 25th, 2025. Seeking Wisdom, Jenny Clark. Based on a design from the 70s sun-melting snowflake, barn owl, cross-cultural, embodied by a circle of women, one spirit, ancestral. The full moon, winter, water raindrops melt, teardrops. Aurora, energy of the heavens. Land, north at night. Mystical. The project has been enlightening as always, bringing empathy, friendship, understanding to the many complexities of truth and reconciliation. I am grateful for this experience and hope my works speak to others. Miigwech, Jenny Clark. Jenny had the privilege of handing off to Ryan Osman. Oh, yep, no. Isn't it? Yes. Miriam Manash, is she next?
She was next.
Then it was you. Oh, okay. Miriam Manash. Okay, so would you cue the Miriam Manash image, sir? Thank you. Miriam Manash was unable to make it today with us, but she did send her image and she did send her statement to us. And the tech guy is queuing it up. No. It's a still life. No, that's, oh yeah, if you'll hold that for me, that would be great. Yeah, that's just, thank you. Nope, the other one.
Just with Nick's piece, when I first saw it, I was blown
The still
away.
life.
And Mary
The
brought
painting.
it to me and sort of admired it in the library in Midland for, I don't know, 20 minutes.
There you go. Okay, this is from Miriam Manash. This is the second time she has been with us in the call to action. And it's called Nokomis Minan 2025. Miriam Manash from Wikwemikong, Odawa, Bodowademi, Rapid Lake, Algonquin. This is a digital print. After receiving Jenny's piece, we spoke about how much loss and grief has affected both of us and our art over the last few years. I created a piece of my sister, Minan, and my Nokomis, my grandmother, my two best friends. My Nokomis was a survivor, but she wanted the best education for us. So filled with love. She was the clay that I'm made of. My work is a photo print of my Nokomis and sister with the words, quote, "Oh, my Nokomis, how I wish to speak my language with you." A play on Bear Fox's song, Kanienkeha Blues, overlaid on photos of my smoked hides. It contains two of my favorite people, my Nokomis, who was a fluent speaker, and my sister, who for a long time was her favorite. Jenny spoke to me about how hard it was to create without her mom. I feel the same way without my Nokomis. I used broken Anishnawbek Moyan language in the title to reflect how my language was lost with my grandmother, and all I learned was what she wanted us to know. Thank you. Miigwech, Marianne Manash.
Hi, my name is Ryan Osman. I'm from the island of Mauritius. For those who don't know where it is, it's east of Africa, east of Madagascar, in the middle of the Indian Ocean. I guess talk about my ancestry. I'm from mixed ancestry. I have African, Indian, and European ancestry, and I've been residing on Turtle Island for 13 years now. Just to keep track of time, I'll just read my artist statement. So in the last round, I was part of round 3. My work focused on the land as a healing space where Indigenous people can reconnect with their history, culture, and future. I was especially struck by the role of intergenerational knowledge in sustaining resilience, which is a theme that I learned from Marilyn and other artists from the collective. At the heart of this resilience, there is the land, the language, and the next generation, a theme that was echoed to me in Marianne's work that you just saw right before. And when I spoke to her in person when we did the handoff. This also, when looking at this concept of resilience, this led me to reach out to my friend Jenny Matthew, Gijikwe, meaning Cedar Woman, to explore how I could capture this concept through photography, as I'm a photographer. Jenny has been central to my learning journey as a settler, coming to Canada as a newcomer. She shares her culture and history very generously, and she often challenges others to engage with truth and reconciliation beyond just symbolic gestures and on a daily basis. Our conversation have really deepened my understanding and led to this collaborative photo series that we worked on together for this round of a call to action. We titled this series Bia, which means come to some place by some means. As a photographer, newcomer and settler, I think that my role is to observe, listen, and when appropriate, share space for stories like Jenny's to be seen and heard. So this is her story and her story of her family.
Ani, Gishkondikwe, Dudishnikas, Maingen Dodem. I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to join you in this space. It's been an honor to do this with Ryan as well. I always jump at the opportunity to talk about my family, my culture, my language. I'm very proud of who I am. And this first image here, I'm not going to say the names because I'm nervous and I'll just botch it, means to lead a good life, and it has an image of my great-grandmother who lived well over the age of 100, so she really did lead a good life. Representing the South, I have an image of my Nukamus, who was a residential school survivor, and that word means to be kind-hearted and to live courageously, and she did. And the image representing the West, is an image of my mom, who's here today, and it means to love one another, and she reminds me daily to love one another and how far you can go when you do truly love. And the final image is the North here, again with an image of my Nukamus, the day that she graduated from residential school. And it just means to call onto the ancestors or call onto the spirits, as I do that daily. And it just, 4 generations of Indigenous women and the strength that we hold as women and the history that we have. And I always just love the opportunity to talk about it and share it. And I just want to say again, thank you so much for allowing me here.
So I passed the bundle after. I met with Wanda, who goes next.
I wish I was an octopus because can someone hold the feather for me? Peter? Okay, I'm gonna read this because I could digress severely here. So this next piece was inspired by my meeting with Ryan. I called it Embracing Spirit. He spoke about his ideas. He hadn't quite put together his piece yet. And he gave me some ideas that he was thinking of. So in speaking with Ryan about his idea for his piece, we discussed things important to reconciliation, like the generational passing of culture and language, and embracing spirit. We each have our own background. We each come from somewhere, and thus we each have our own cultures, our own languages, and our own spiritual beliefs that nurture us. No one way of being is higher than another. And by allowing each other the freedom and the space to embrace our cultural differences, we say to one another that I will hold space for you, and I will respect your culture and your beliefs by allowing you to have them. My piece arose out of an anecdote that Ryan shared with me about a dream and then a subsequent encounter with a bear. And that spoke to me on a spiritual level, because you see, Ryan had said that he wasn't a person who dreamed. So this dream was a strange experience for him. Ryan dreamed of a bear, and later, when he went out onto the land with his Mi'kmaq friends on the East Coast, as they sat by their fire, a bear emerged from the woods. It came close to them, it looked at him, and then returned back to the woods. This encounter spoke to me of nature, and how as humans, we often think of ourselves as separate from nature, but in my culture, Anishnawbek people, we see ourselves as an integral part of the natural world. We are part of the wisdom of earth and life that has been passed down for millennia. We believe that we come to earth. Before we come to earth, we exist in the spirit world. So everything that possesses life here on earth chose to come to this earth for that experience. And so everything that has life here on earth is our relative, because we existed in the spirit world together. And so my friend Ryan, he had a message from a relative through his dream. And when he went out onto the land, his relative came to acknowledge him and their connection through spirit. In this piece, I've shown that connection Ryan has with the bear by placing him inside the bear. You can see the small figure here. And the camera really catches the iridescence of this piece. So I placed Ryan inside the bear to illustrate their spiritual connection that they hold. I've also included, if you can see it, the smaller figure here inside of Ryan's son. So to show that even successive generations are connected to our spirit and that they are important in carrying on our legacies. And in that, it's important for us to see that we need to heal in order to give them the best experience as they journey around the 4 moons of life, which I've represented here by the 4 directions using our Anishnawbek language. Wabanung, that's the eastern direction. It's where we're born and we begin our journey in life. Jawanung, my namesake, the southern direction, where we spend the majority of our life learning and experiencing it. We've got Nagabanung, the western direction, where we end our time here on earth and journey through that western door and back to the ancestors. And we journey back to Goednung, the northern direction, the land of the ancestors in the spirit world and the Creator, where we share with our relatives the learning we've acquired here on earth. And if you look in the background of this painting, and like I said, the camera really catches it, I've captured the northern lights. And the northern lights represent to us the land of our ancestors. So that's where we come from and where we return to once we're finished our life cycle. I've also included in the piece the 4 medicines. And not only to honor each direction, tobacco found on the, I've placed each of these medicines on the frame of this work. Tobacco, cedar, sage, and sweetgrass. I place them there to honor the painting, but not only that, to protect the sacredness of the story that's told here about Ryan and his spiritual connection to the natural world, and to remind us of our connections to one another and to give us something to think about in terms of reconciliation. And that is, if we all come from spirit, how would you like your relatives to be treated? So, miigwech. And I hope my piece inspired Nick.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wanda. Sorry, my voice is not usually this deep. Some very bad allergies dried out my throat, and I lost my voice last week. And it's coming back, but it's coming back from like rock bottom. So I hope you don't mind if the spirit of Mufasa speaks through me today. Anin, hello. Thank you very much for having me here today. My name is Nicolas Rodrigo, and in my art making process, this is my piece here. I really felt that especially as a non-Indigenous artist in the process, the best place to begin was with listening. So I spoke with and wrote with Wanda, and you shared a lot of your thoughts on your art, on the process in general. You shared the thoughts you were sharing with Ryan. And within the 2 weeks that I had to produce my art, I spent the first week just reflecting on everything you said. When it came time to actually start working on my art, I chose a style of art that I feel also really revolves around listening. It's this genre of art that I've been developing where I take a piece of glass and I break it. And then I have to look at the pieces and I have to see what patterns stand out to me. And I really have to pay attention to what pieces no longer fit. And usually when I'm looking at glass that is broken, I don't choose how it breaks. I just choose how I put the pieces back together. And I hardly ever see pieces of glass that look like something realistic. I don't see trees, I don't see glass that, I say that looks like an animal. But this time, I did see something. I saw what I thought was the head of a buffalo. I have these red painted glass pieces, the sort of round shape that's broader at the top and more pointed at the bottom like a snout. And there are these more blue pieces over here that I saw as horns. And that was so significant to me because, again, it never happens. And also, we were told that the spirit of the white buffalo was watching over this round of art making. So as I saw this pattern, and I started to think about the paint that I would add to the pieces of glass, I thought about everything you told me, Wanda. And I thought about what particularly stood out to me was you shared in the Anishnawbek belief that all living things can recognize one another as relatives, that all living things can recognize one another as kin who come from the same creator and from the same spirit world. And I was thinking about that, and the image that came to mind was this spark at the center of all things. And that spark that also, while it exists at the center of all things, also exists within every individual thing, every individual person. And these different pieces of glass, if you get a chance to look closely, the reds alternate between being more orange and more pink. The yellows alternate between being more green and more orange-yellow, because they are like us. We all wear slightly different colors and have different shapes and sizes and context to us. And that is something that is true and needs to be honored and respected. And that truth can coexist, I believe, with the other truth that at our very core is the exact same thing. And I would like to hope that in the spirit of reconciliation, as we go forward together in a good way, that as much as we honor that way, way back, deep, deep down, that shared space, that common origin, that we can also move towards a shared space yet again. Jimmy Gwetch.
Thank you, Nick. My name is Paul Whittam. I'm a multiple personality. Paul received this image from Nick, and what he picked up on was the powerful explosion that was coming at the core of this, of all that energy and how it was going forward. So he got over here, and he kind of has a compilation of where he's come from in the past through his other artwork as well. His bird, the eagle, is causing a lightning bolt that is hitting the tower of the shadow of a residential school bell tower. Actually, it was the stained glass window. And when it hits, the stained glass shatters. And here's Paul and all Indigenous people who have suffered fate of the residential schools. When he did his last painting, that image was of himself crying out and honoring the children who were crossing over after they were discovered during the last round. So for him, this was a really exciting moment because he saw the power of shattering the old pattern and freeing himself and going forward. Paul was unable to make it with us today. He has a mural contract that he's falling behind on, and his fate depends upon that mural. So that's the gift from Paul Whittam. Paul Whittam is a child of the 60s scoop, and when we first started out, he gave birth to his first own child. He was adopted to a family in Midland area, and in the process, Paul discovered his sister, and she's down in London. His spirit name is Star Otter, excuse me. Wouldn't you know, his sister in London, who he only met that year for the first time, her spirit name is Little Otter. So we are all connected, eh? So that's our man, Paul Whittam. He's from Midland. He has a gallery now downtown, and he's doing marvelous artwork. Thank you very much from Paul Whittam.
You'll be happy to know I am the last artist. This is the first round that I've been part of, but Mary Lou and I have been offering workshops in the Ogama-Meskwaki Gallery for the last few years, looking at ancestral and collective trauma and how healing that could impact the work of truth and reconciliation. So I'm kind of responding to the whole project, and I wanted to illustrate what inner work might look like. So I got this shape of a seated person when we were in the sweat lodge last September to begin this rounds journey. And so that's the yellow shape. And then there's the darkness of the sweat lodge around there. And the 7 swirling balls of energy for me represent the 7 grandfather teachings, which impact my life quite strongly all the time. And so I wanted to, that's the environment that I am doing this work in. And so I wanted to, one of my teachers, Thomas Hubel, says that if we can integrate and melt and digest some of these old traumas that were brought from Europe here and that are still hurting Indigenous people today, if we can integrate those, we can create a kind of soil for other things to grow in. So the way I showed that was in the, I don't want to use that, in this down here, that's a cotton mill. My family comes from the north of England, and my ancestors were part of the heart of the Industrial Revolution. I am still ridiculously efficient and punctual, ask anybody. It's still in me. The next symbol is of a church. I grew up in the United Church, and I picked up on Paul's broken glass, so there's shards of colored glass there that where the stained glass window has been broken. And for me, it's important to acknowledge that I come from Christian roots, and my ancestors were Christian, and there was something very broken about that enabled people to harm children in the residential schools. So I'm just acknowledging that and working with it. The next image over is a potato that represents the Irish potato famine that my family was part of as well. That's still alive in me. As soon as something kind of becomes a bit scarce, it triggers in me this fear of scarcity. And I think that fear of scarcity is what drives a lot of the political processes that we see in this country. So I'm acknowledging that. Those 3 symbols are surrounded by a wash of red. That's the only way I could think of to show all the bloodshed in Europe that is part of my heritage as well. And on the outside of that is the ocean. I used to feel that the ocean separated me from my ancestors, but in learning more about Indigenous worldviews, I now see the water as connecting me to my ancestors. And then the next thing over here is a feather. And I actually went to a workshop with Nagik a couple of years ago, and he taught us how to do his signature feathers. And he told me that he was thinking of doing a thunderbird in purple and white. And so I made a purple and white feather in his style. And that's kind of showing that that's present for me too. All the indigenous learnings and teachings that I can absorb are also guiding me in how to heal the wounds that I'm carrying from my ancestry. And I have a heart in there because the heart is really important for this work. It's critical. And then underneath it, there's a blue flame. And I was having a conversation with Paul Schilling, and he was saying that when we take off the layers of trauma, of harm, our spirits can rise. And when you said that, Paul, I saw this blue flame. And so I put the blue flame in here as well. And then there was this space, and I stared at it, and suddenly a scarlet runner bean plant started growing from this soil that has accumulated through all these healing efforts. And it started to climb up here, and it went to the spirit and the heart and up into the head. And the little red flowers actually look like little hearts. And so for me, that I felt very hopeful when the plant started growing in my imagination. And it went everywhere, and it connected everything. And it's the future as well. So that's what I was trying to do. I don't have a title for it yet. Miigwech for listening.
I know that we're waiting, the ladies downstairs are waiting for us to have lunch. However, we do have a feast. Everybody is welcome. There is no price. If you want to make a donation, that's fine. And then at approximately 1:30, we're going to come back up here for a half-hour community response circle if you'd like to join us. But before that happens, Gwen, do you want to make any comments? Senator Boniface?
Thank you. I'm Gwen Boniface. I'm a senator representing Ontario, but I'm a longtime resident of this area. And I just want to take the opportunity to say congratulations to the artists. Please join me. This is remarkable work. And let me say, I had the great privilege in the Senate of sitting beside the Honorable Murray Sinclair for a fair length of time. He became a great friend, and he's looking on, I know, looking from the spirit world at the work that is being done in this community, and he is smiling, and that warms my heart. So thank you to everyone who is making it possible that we move forward in a good way. Miigwech, thank you.
Thanks, Gwen. And Elder McRae, Lorraine, dear Elder Lorraine, would you like to make any comments?
It was so beautiful and so healing. Each and every piece was brought healing to all of us here today. So I want to say miigwech to all the artists. Just amazing, amazing work, and how we're able to heal together today in this room. My cousin Paul here always says that it's the artists that are going to bring that peace and harmony and that healing. And we saw that, witnessed it today. Dabwawin in Ojibwe means truth. And da is the heart. Wa is the way we speak. So that's what I heard here today, truth-telling. And putting things back is reconciliation. Neabanigawen. And I learned that from the round table that Senator Boniface started here several years ago, one of the elders. And when I heard that word, I knew it was the appropriate word for reconciliation, because we are putting back ourselves. We're actually putting ourselves back together. I learned that today. And we're putting back all of the things, not only for ourselves, but for our ancestors, for future generations. We're putting back our languages, our culture, our ceremonies, our lands, our traditional lands. So it was so beautiful today. I love the different cultures that were represented here today. That meant so much to me. And I just want to say miigwech to each and every one. Miigwech.
Thanks for your kind words. As is the tradition, it's lunchtime now. So if you can stay, please stay. The ladies have created a lovely feast. And then right after the feast, if you'd like to join us for just a community chat to mull over what we think or ask the artists more questions, you're welcome to be here. It won't be taped. That will be a private session for the community. So without further ado, Monica, would you from afar bless the food?
Sure. I have my, and I believe our choir is going to lead us down with a song as well. And so when we go downstairs, we'll be holding a bowl with the food for the ancestors. And so if you can just imagine that now, and let us say just a few words of miigwech for what we're about to receive and what we have already received. So, Holy Creator, Mother, Father of us all, we ask that you would bless and take forward this time that we've had together and the food that we are about to share, and the earth that has provided it, and the many hands that have brought it to the table. And so bless us, nourish us, send us forth into your world in a good way. Amen.
then Marilyn's going to drum us up for the circle after we've done eating. So, here we go.